What is up, duelists? So we hit 1,000 subscribers, and there was a promise made a long time ago that this would result in the release of a certain spreadsheet on how to do the fish combos. Now, I've said it a bunch of times before, to me, this is not maybe the most complicated thing in the world, but it is something that I made and came up with when I was first starting to use the deck. And so here's the spreadsheet, and I'm going to go over it really quickly and then get into a game and try to use it. So basically, I'm going to put the link in the description as well. This column is the monsters you get off the coelacanth. And then the columns right below it is the different sort of end boards you can make. And I don't list in the sheet exactly how to do that, but it should be fairly obvious if you look at, okay, I want to make 2 level 8s and an Oystermeister. I don't know why exactly you'd want to do that, but if you start with a level 4, an eel, I put level 4 because I was running something other than Metabo Shark for a while. There's a couple level 4 fish monsters you could run, but this is basically Metabo Shark. So if you have eel, the tuner, oyster, borg, and obviously you start with coelacanth. So it's pretty obvious here that you'd want to sync coelacanth with fish borg to make 1 level 8, and eel and the level 4 to make the other level 8, and then you have oyster still. So from there you kind of go forward. You have double oyster, borg. I also list the tokens, oyster, eel borg, level 4 borg, coal, seal. And then I added a few columns at the bottom for when I had an additional level 2 on the board, like a frog summon, which can happen sometimes late game. But these don't really amount to very powerful combos for the most part. And then I have this other column over here that's with an additional discard from the fish board. And that allows you to make much more powerful boards. And I listed like you have an equipped armor at the end because sometimes you need to do that at the start. And so on and so forth. Then it's listed these level 9 synchro, level 7, level 5, because you can make a bunch of different options. But without further ado, and once again, here's the fish deck. I made one small alteration. I'm trying a third moray over the battle fader because I was getting some really bad early game hands, and even though whether moray really fixes that or not is kind of up for debate. But I'm going to hop into this game with Ronak right now, and we always have quite drawn out, long, complicated frog matchups. So I'm thinking that probably at some point I'll get to summon a coelacanth, and I'm going to go back to the spreadsheet when I do so and show you guys how you would use the spreadsheet in an actual game, because that's when I first started playing the deck, that was all I did. So I hope you guys enjoy. This might be a long one, I'm anticipating, because these frog matchups can really be quite intense. But as you can see here, I've opened a hand of Swap Shark, Moray, Substitute, Unifrog. The Unifrog is not going to be particularly good against him, but this actually is quite a strong hand, because I could really just... There's actually a way I could just put the coelacanth on the board and try to out game, but I'm not going to do that, I think. But I want to be pretty careful in how I am going to set this up. I think I'm just going to start by going for this Swap Frog and send my own Treeborn. It seems like he probably has a hand of battle trap guys or dead monarchs, and it seems like he doesn't have a frog. So I'm just going to bounce this back and pass. And okay, so a couple things here. I'm not using the moray because I think I'm going to coelacanth within the next 2 turns, most likely. And I want, in case I draw the pieces, the other fish, I want to be able to shuffle those back with the moray. The other thing is that, yeah, I don't know. I guess I just don't want him to let him know what I have, and I have a pretty good hand, so I'm not too worried about whether, I don't need to draw into anything. Now here I'm faced with kind of an interesting decision, right? Because I could go special swap, probably discarding the Unifrog or the Metabo, make a board and this apologize to Veronica in advance, but it's going to be a little annoying. So we look at this. So here are some boards I can make. I don't really want to overextend too much because I am expecting he has some kind of battle trap. But even that being said, I could prioritize making something like a level 7 Urbellum, and then going in with that. I mean, there's a few things I could do in this way. Like this is looking kind of appealing, but I actually can't do this because I have the level 4 in hand. Is there any other way to make level 7, level 6? Because that would let me Goyo his, whatchamacallit? Yes, so I could go Oyster, Oyster, Eel, Borg, and make this as well. So right now I have to think about if I actually want to do that. And that's like a pretty big thing with this deck is like, okay, now you know all the combos, but you got to know when you want to do this. So he's sitting at 6 in hand. I think this is most likely a combination of, brain control effects, more battle traps, like Battle Fader completely stops what I was just saying. And with this kind of deck, you really only have one shot to do these things, even though I'm probably in a Gold Sark, I think, for a Pot of Avarice. So I'm just going to do my frog combos. And I'm going to start that by sending Tree. And I think I'm going to end with a Dupe Frog and a... I'm going to send this additional swap and use its effect to send an additional Substitute. And the more little pokes of damage I get in here, the better it is for me, because I can deal a lot of damage with the Coelacanth, and that will, I don't know, it'll just make it easier to set up this game shot. But here I can do something like bounce this back, normal summon, and then I'm going to use this. I'm going to put a flip-flop down, and I'm going to tribute this for a Dupe Frog. And I think that it's not the most unlikely thing that he might go like Brain Caius, but if he were to do that, then I'm going to be able to Armor Ram Colossal in the next turn. So again, I'm not using the Morai right away, even though now my deck is thinned a little bit and I have access to, the whole thing is just I have access to Coelacanth and I don't need that many slots to do my combo. So I hope you're not disappointed that the first use of the sheet is actually me not going off. But I think that's a pretty important thing to understand, is that like this deck is playing multiple Battle Faders, multiple cards like Gores and Tragodia. And if I were to go off into that, it would really leave me in a bad position. Okay, sure. Okay, so he's just going to use both. This is all kind of fun. As long as I have this Pot of Avarice coming, then I think I'm pretty safe to do a lot of more aggressive plays next turn. But you can already kind of see, right? If he had just a single Battle Stopper, then he would have a pretty solid comeback play where he goes Brain and/or Soul Exchange and kind of decimates my board. So I don't know. I'm just not really willing to take the risk when he's been totally playing these first couple turns as if he has those kind of cards in hand. Although not dropping anything on the Swap Frog effect is a little bit of a tell. I feel like a Tragodia could have easily come down there, but I think any other Gores or Battle Fader he would have kept. So I got to kind of see what he does here. I think he might make like Dupe flip-flop and then either keep the Substitute or go into a second Dupe Frog. But all of that, I mean, in the meantime, maybe we can consult the sheet. So next turn, assuming we don't draw more fish, but even if we do, we can shuffle them back for Moray. So assuming we don't draw more fish, even off that, what can we do? We have everything in deck. Let's assume we have everything in deck. So, and we're going to have a discard because We're gonna go to 6 cards, pitch 1 water for swap, and then pitch 1 water for swap, double tribute for this. So we're gonna have 1 card in hand at the end of all that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And so what can we do there? We can use any of these discard type things. So the primary way that we're going to actually be able to deal with all this is probably through something like a Mistworm or potentially a Black Rose Dragon. Unfortunately, Black Rose is obviously going to wipe our whole field, but that could still be a favorable outcome depending on exactly how... Okay, so we drew that. But that's okay. I'm just going to moray it away. I'm kind of surprised that he did not go for a flip-flop frog here. But you kind of want to conserve that card in this matchup. Actually, hitting the enemy controller here is really, really good. So even though my flip-flop frog is engraved, I can still do some pretty crazy stuff. I think that he's at 51. So I think I don't really need to use my swap frog effects yet. I think what I'm going to do is take this here. I'm going to go, I actually don't have many targets left for this, but I'm going to go into my dupe frog. And I'm going to simply tribute his thing for another dupe frog. So it sets both of us up with this dupe block. But the trick is next turn I can do something like normal summon my swap frog, send my own dupe frog, and get my flip-flop frog back. Or I'm going to avarice all these things back anyway. So I think I'll be pretty well set up so that I can start some more aggressive play. But this is hard, right? It's like, you know, I keep saying that, you know, I could do all this crazy stuff, although this back row could easily be something like Karma Cut, something a little concerning like that. But in that case, that's really why I want to have the cold wave, because also this could shut down a potential Gores. I'm wondering maybe if it's not... Okay. So I have to think for a second on if I want to get this Treeborn Frog back. And I think I do, and I think I can just kill in basically 2 turns with maybe not getting it back. Let me see here. So I have I need to make Mistworm and threaten lethal. So here are some combos that can do that. You can even just search for level 9. So you could do this with Coelacanth. You could, and that could kill through Gores if he were to have it. You can also do these plays, which are a little more resilient because they put a level 8 on the board. Let me see. I think that just for the purposes of this video, we're going to do this level 9 armory coelacanth play. Although that might be affected a little bit by having an extra monster in play. Let me think here. This is where it gets a little tough. There's a certain point that I kind of like have to stop thinking about it and just like kind of go with my gut. But since this is a situation where I have multiple monsters on field already, the spreadsheet might not be as useful. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just use the cold wave. Okay, that's fine. I think I can still set up a pretty powerful board here, whether it's using the coelacanth or waiting to do that next turn. And let me just think how exactly I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go swap frog, send this, get back the flip-flop, and then I'm going to bounce this back to my hand, and this gives me a flip-flop normal summon, and next turn I'm pretty much set to Avarice and, you know, gain a lot of advantage and kill him. I kind of didn't, you know, I know he's been playing Threatening Roar, but I wasn't exactly expecting that, but the way I make these plays, I should be pretty much fine. Because worst case scenario, he's gonna like, he kind of needs to out this flip-flop frog. That's the thing. And one of the main ways he might do that is with a monarch. And if he does that, then I'm gonna kill him with coelacanth. So he might just be forced to do something like pass here, which would not go particularly well for him. But I hope you guys can start to understand why just knowing exactly what you can do in all these situations is going to be really useful for you. In fact, like integral to playing the deck. Okay, so he just passes here. I draw another oyster, which is not great, but I think I basically want to do a similar play to what I was setting up last turn, but it's going to be a little tricky. Because what I really want to do here is Mistworm him and then still have the flip-flop frog effect in main phase 2, in case he has any amount of stuff on board. But I'm just trying to think exactly how I can do that in an efficient way. Yeah, I'm not gonna get the thing back. I'm gonna start off by doing this. Shuffle back. Kind of just have to hope I don't draw more fish off this. But assuming I don't, and these are two pretty good draws, then I should be good here. This is going to, I think, pitch the fader, and that's going to help me find let me see. So if I go eel, I might do double Fishborg here. I think that, well, yeah, I got to do at least one Fishborg, and then yeah, I think it's got to be eel. So here's what I'm gonna do. Going to make an Herbellum, and that's going to give me a token, and then I'm going to make a Mistworm, and that's going to bounce all three of these guys. And then I'm going to special swap frog and pitch this. I don't think I want to send anything from deck because all those cards seem like pretty good cards to keep in the deck. And now I'm going to force an interrupt here. Okay, Fader is probably the worst one that he could have. But now I have flip-flop to bounce this back to hand. I'm going to flip this back down. I'm going to Sarco for another Avarice, and see what he can do. Because if it wasn't Fader there, I think I had, I mean, I would be fine, but sadly. Okay, so I guess I just gave him more fuel for this Ray of Greed, but unless he can break this flip-flop, and he's already used cards like Brain Control and Soul Exchange. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that I blew a coelacanth for not a lot of gain, I guess, but it does put him in this position that he has to start making some reactive plays, and like all three substitute are gone. He can salvage them back, but I'm not entirely sure what that would do for him. I mean, he can like diva here and bounce everything, but either way, he's kind of putting himself in this position that he's using a lot of cards. And I'm just going to be able to avarice everything back and not die from the Gores. Because yeah, he has a million cards in hand right now, but a lot of them are additional dead Treeborn Frogs or things like this with no swap. So He can start to use those for sure, but okay, sure. Yeah, I think doing something like a Brionic here is not a bad play. I mean, that's as good as anything to just like get him back in the game a little bit. But if he tries to swing direct, I'm definitely just going to Gorz him. So that's going to be a big swing for me. So I wonder what he's going to do here, because now he has the Diva, but so Mobius here, and so I think this is a little greedy because now he has a pretty good punish by Gorz. And I think he has to bounce this in some type of way. I don't know if he has to bounce the token as well, but so this leaves him with Substitute. I think he might have another Diva and some amount of unknowns. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to get back this. I'm going to, and it's one turn on Sark. So I can do something like Goyo Guardian him. I think that seems like a pretty fantastic play. Yeah, that's looking right to me. And I discard the Swap Frog because like it's not that useful at this point. Really only in getting an additional summon on the board. Oh, hold on. No, this is right. That's fine. Yeah, I was just trying to think if I could do something else with like Armory Arms this past turn, but I don't think so really. Not in a way that does anything that relevant. Maybe he kept. You got to be thinking about what he would keep in hand. Like he discarded that Diva, unless he had a third copy. But I think there's got to be another Battle Trap in there somehow, but probably not Drag, like I've been saying. And the Substitute that is known. He has the Dupe Frogs back in deck, so he can set up a dupe block here, but he probably doesn't want to exactly because I have Brionic. So this is a tough game, but all our games are kind of like this, to be honest. So it is what it is. Next turn, when I resolve that Avarice, I'm going to probably be wanting to put back the Shark, the Oyster. Well, I guess I could have used the Shark effect. This seems like one of the rare occasions that I might have actually wanted to do that, but I didn't think of it. But either way, it might be okay because the next turn on the draw, I might want to maximize my options there. But putting something like Shark, an Oyster, an Eel, and a swap back, or two swaps maybe, or a swap dupe, seems pretty good. I definitely want at least one swap in deck, so probably two swaps. Although maybe they're not that useful at this point. I don't know. It just seems like always good to have at least one. Okay, so he banishes this. This is okay. Oh, that's perfect. I think that I can win here. Assuming I don't redraw a bunch of these fish. So let me just... because I'm going to tribute for a coelacanth, that's why I did that, and I want to put the most fish back in deck so I have the least chance of redrawing them or anything. But there are a lot of combinations here that I should be fine if I... Okay, yeah, I didn't whiff, so I can do this and just Armor and Colossal for game. This makes an Armory Arm and Colossal Killer. So this took a lot of work to get to that point. But I mean, I guess it was worth it. Like, these are kind of the maneuvering things that make the deck pretty difficult to play sometimes. So yeah, I mean, that's just what you got to deal with. But I hope you understand that, like, it was like this like multi-turn thing that I had to set up from the point of me mistworming him and knowing that kind of wasn't going to work. And like, yeah, he had a punish for that, but I just thought I would have enough longevity to get through it. Could have easily backfired, don't get me wrong. But, and yeah, I mean, I guess if we were to, I didn't even do the sheet, like I said, but basically this is the field that I got. I just know how to do it at this point. So, but, and this is the field that I ended on: a Colossal, an Armory Arm, a token, and a coelacanth. So the Armory Arm equips to his monster, and the level 8 would be Colossal, and it would just crash in. But let me just side real quick, because, you know, I like keeping Storm because he actually has a decent amount of traps. Or maybe, I don't know, Cold Wave is pretty good, at least, because like it really disrupts his comeback potential in a sense. Avarice gets kind of bodied by Crow, so it's a kind of a liability of a card. Flip-flop is pretty important. Battle Fader gets kind of bodied by Vanity's Fiend, which I know that he sides. Gores is kind of iffy, but yeah, I mean, I just like this as this like Dark Dust Spirit control type deck. I sided out a Unifrog. I could side in this Lightning Vortex or maybe a Torrential Tribute just to have more outs to the Vanity's Fiend. Maybe Torrential Tribute is good enough to play. Perhaps over the Gores. Let's try that. It's usually pretty easy to read, like Torrential Tribute, because I think he knows that's one of the only real traps I play. Dust Shoot is usually getting flipped right away, so if I have a trap stuck on the field, then he knows. But that being said, like, it is just an out to Vanity's Fiend in certain ways and can out a Duplock, you know, whatever. So I think it's kind of good enough. I don't really remember even exactly how I sided against this guy in past games. So let's see here. This is another kind of like very fast hand that we could start to make some headway. First things first, I could set up a swap, special swap, return Substitute, but I don't even think I want to do that. It's just too weak to Crow. Yeah, I think all of the things just kind of like use my resources in a way I don't really care to right now. So I'm fine with just doing this, poking, and then I get this back to hand, and I'm not going to resummon the flip-flop. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to pass. I think, I don't know, man. I mean, I could have just slammed and done the Herbellum thing and left him in a bad spot or killed him, but for the way I like to play the game, and now that I've drawn two of my fish guys, yeah, I don't think that's super ideal. Now, what do I do? I think I'm going to start to set up a board again. I mean, I think that even given what I just said, it seems like his hand is relatively slow. So I think I can start to make this kind of push. And if he crows on my substitute here, that's totally fine. Because I still get one back. And it's essentially just trading my salvage for his crow in hand. But crow is one of the, the main pieces of interruption. And now he has one less card in general. So now I'm in a position where I could double tribute for Coelacanth, which I think is what I will do. There's 5 cards in hand, so I have to think a little bit about how I can kill him. And actually, this is a great situation where the thing really comes in handy. So I think I want to make a level 8 and a level 7. That's seeming pretty good to me. And this field full of tokens. So now I'm going to pitch this. And I only have 4 things to get. So I mean, that does simplify it. That's how I knew that that was the thing I wanted to choose. And there's a little bit of an argument between keeping the Coelacanth or not, but I think in this scenario, I want to go into that Urbellum guy. That's my play. That's what I'm going to do. Now I could Mistworm here. I could Stardust here. I think I actually am going to Mistworm it just for 1, even though that's kind of a crazy play. But I don't really want to get him to get this Treeborn Frog in the graveyard, and I don't think the Stardust there would help me in that many ways, So we're going to put 1 back. And we're just going to hopefully take advantage of the fact it seems like he has a pretty dead hand. He didn't drop anything on this, so it seems like just a lot of bricks. I know he sides a lot of like brick-ish cards in this matchup. Okay, he had the brain control, that's fine. But if he does something like Vanity's Fiend, I have the econ to punish it. I think it's got to be something like that, or maybe a tribute set Dark Dust Spirit. Yep. And that should be game. So I hope you understand, even though the spreadsheet didn't exactly come up in a direct way, because, well, I guess it wouldn't really for me, because I already know a lot of these things. So it's not like I'm sitting here comboing off and being like, oh, what can I do now? So I already know basically how I'm going to do it and what I can do out of what position, even if I can't always articulate that effectively, which I apologize. But especially in that last game where it's like, okay, here are the options. And I think that, knowing that those options exist actually did, help me make the right play in that game. And in the first game, that was just more complicated where you had the fish frog stuff clogging the field in the first place. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And again, I will put a link to this spreadsheet in the description so you can all enjoy some fish madness. And thanks again for watching. Thanks again for 1,000 subscribers. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.